So I understand our title for the year is Tools for a Sustainable Practice. And I've had to kind of talk my way into that a bit, which I'll talk us all into, because I just think tools for a sustainable practice sounds so sort of utilitarian, really. I had to remind myself that artists also have tools. And so I thought, oh, maybe I'll think about it like tools for sculpting a beautiful life. But even that seems a bit too much like I'm the artist rather than the artwork or something like that. It's more like what I'm doing is filling my life with more and more opportunities to be touched by and to give myself to and to be reshaped again and again by the beautiful, the indefinable, the true, the sort of the deep values that we all gather around. But yeah, we can find those in the 5 spiritual faculties, which you've been looking at. Presumably you have all seen the diagram, although it wasn't readily to hand, so perhaps you haven't. So I first came across the spiritual faculties on a weekend at our beautiful women's retreat centre, Tara, in probably 1994, as well, really as a pair of opposites, balanced by mindfulness in the centre. So you have these sort of 2 poles. You can have faith and wisdom balancing out, and virya, energy, vigour, and meditation balancing out. So yeah, it seems like they're 2 opposites, and mindfulness is the sort of balancing factor. There we go, there they are. But actually, like all Buddhist teachings, this is a sort of a model that doesn't really, it's a sort of representation of reality. It gives us some sort of indication about what's happening in the awakening heart, the awakening mind. And in a way, they're just all sort of aspects of the same unfolding, So they're inseparably related, these different faculties, these different ways of engaging, with different ways of meeting your mind. And even the 2 that seemed like opposites really don't anymore to me. But you can just take any one as a way in, and yeah, it can kind of unfold into all the others. So I'm going to be talking mostly about faith, because that's my usual preferred entry point to the mandala, Shraddha. But really, you just need to catch hold of one thread, and you've got the whole sari, as the saying goes. So yeah, as I've been thinking about this talk, I've really seen, you know, these 2 poles. In a way, I think faith and wisdom are about vision, in the path of vision and transformation, and energy and meditation are the transformation. They're the sort of how you do it. And I can't really distinguish energy from meditation or faith from wisdom. And I'll say more about the faith and wisdom pole. So Shraddha is our natural human responsiveness to value, to goodness in whatever form. So it is a way of knowing. Shraddha is a way of knowing. It's a heart-based resonance, a recognition of the truth, of value, of what really matters, what's really true. So as a way of knowing, well, wisdom is about knowing. It's about really knowing the truth, really knowing how things work. So they just, you know, seem to be of the same. It's like, yeah, I can't quite tell what the difference is. You take the picture down again, Tim. I think we've got the gist. Shraddha is the response, Bhante says, Sangha says, the response of the ultimate in us, the resonance of the ultimate in us with the ultimate in the universe. So in a way, you could think Shraddha is the kind of us pole of that, and Prajna is the sort of universe pole of that. But actually in Prajna, the distinction between us and universe breaks down. There is no difference between me and my world. And there's just this quality of resonance, of responsiveness, of knowing that that faculty can apply to all of that. So Shraddha, what we place our heart upon, it's got this sort of emotional connotation, which wisdom perhaps doesn't have in the same way. So Shraddha for me has to be the sort of entry point, the main thing to pay attention to, because it's about our motivation. It's about wanting, and we are such beings of want. We can't really get away from that. It's the motivation to practice at all. It's the sort of that sense of recognition of being moved by what's of value. And when that's in the three jewels, it's what moves us to practice. If we weren't moved by the three jewels, then why would we be moved to meditate, to come along here to meet the Sangha, to hear the Dharma? We wouldn't be making ethically beautiful choices about how to act in our lives if we didn't recognize the beauty of them. And so we wouldn't be shaping our becoming through all those ways. So I really think Shraddha is the fuel of virya, of energy. It's what really gives us the kind of oomph to actually engage with the Dharma life at all. And yeah, I can contact it in meditation, and it's what gets me to meditate. It's not different to energy. It's not different to wisdom, really. And mindfulness is certainly central. It's central to the faculties. It's central to Shraddha. Not as I used to perhaps see it as a bit of the sort of policewoman of the scheme, or the kind of weights and measures officer, kind of coldly seeing, how do I balance out faith and wisdom? I need a bit more of this, or I need a bit more energy, or a bit more meditation, or how do I keep it all kind of measured out and lined up? But as fullness of heart, as wholeheartedness, as a sort of closeness with the texture of our heart mind, so we can really feel our becoming, and as the faculty that remembers our purpose, remembers what's of deepest value, what's truest, what's deepest. So for me, sustainable practice is about a life which is as full as it can be with reminders of all this, as full as it can be with opportunities to dwell on what's of value, to dwell on the three jewels, to dwell on our potential for awakening, on all the ways we can sense the truth, that we can grow into that in our lives, all the ways that we can respond to each other and exemplify the Dharma for each other. Chances to dwell on my heart's response to all of that, so that it can grow as dwelling on metta grows in the metta bhavana. We can dwell on our heart's responses, on the faith in our lives, and let those grow. And in doing that, you can touch the indefinable nature of that responsiveness. It's like, if you're in touch with beauty, is that about something beautiful? Or is it about you? Or is it both or neither? If you're watching a sunset, it's not the sunset that's beautiful, it's your knowing of it that's beautiful. But you couldn't have that without the sunset. But there'd be no experiencing of that without you being there. What is going on in a moment of beauty, in a moment of love, in a moment of connection? What really is that? It's quite mysterious. So over the years of my practice, the decades of my practice, my life's been shaped to do this more and more. I've sort of made choices to fill my life more with these opportunities. And that has shaped my life by this response, this desire, this want to be taken over by, to give myself to something more, to this response to beauty, to faith. It's taken me from my career into working at the centre. It's taken me from that full involvement in that sort of side of the Sangha to careerlessness, where I have a lot more less structure in my life, a lot more free time, but much more close involvement in a few relationships rather than facilitating a lot of people coming into a relationship at the Buddhist Centre. And it's all sort of following this perfume of the indefinable, trying to see what needs to happen next in my life. And the strongest threads or tools have remained throughout, have just developed and changed, but they've been there. There's all the things that we all do: meditation, Dharma study, ethical practice, retreats. Those are all chances to open my heart, to find the opportunities to respond to love, to truth, to beauty. There's time to do nothing. That's important to me, just to be letting my mind kind of flop open, unravel, see where it goes. Time in beauty, noticing the light, tending my garden, looking at the flowers. Poetry is important to me. That way it tries to articulate what's beyond words. Music, love songs to remind me how it is to really want to give yourself completely to something, and feeding my imagination on fiction, whether it's Netflix or books, just sort of entering into other worlds, other relationships. But the main thing for me really has always been Kalyana Mitrata, this beautiful Sanskrit phrase. Kalyana means beautiful, means spiritual, auspicious, ethical, skillful, lots of things like that. And for me, it has this connotation of this indefinable, what happens between me and something beautiful. What is that response? It's like what arises that's not me, not you, not both of us, not either of us. And mitrata means friendship. I think of it more as fellowship, association. So Kalyana Mitrata, association with the beautiful, fellowship with the beautiful. So in all those ways I've talked about, Dharma study, retreats, meditation, in ethics, but especially in friendship. So particularly we talk about it as spiritual friendship. Kalyana Mitrata means we usually translate as spiritual friendship. I think that's a little bit problematic because friendship means quite a lot of different things to different people. You can have quite a lot of expectations about what a friend will be, what a friendship will be like. So I'm thinking increasingly it might be better translated as Dharma relationships. So all those connections in our lives which are based around the Dharma, based around the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, the three jewels, based around what's beautiful, what's true, that wisdom in our lives. And for me, it's this really, really crucial. The friendships in my life have been so important in who I am becoming all the time and still are. It's so important for me to see the Dharma exemplified, lived, actually embodied in people, and to just pick something up by being with people who are living a Dharma life. I don't always respond so well to just the Dharma sort of in the abstract. I need to see how it's changing people, how they're actually applying it, how that actually is in their being. And then somehow I can kind of absorb that and let that affect me, or I can reflect on it and go, could I be more like that? Could I do that? So it's just, yeah, really important that I can resonate with the Dharma as lived in other people. And my life has been and is just more and more full of that, really. So there's my peer friends, my very good friends. I've got very close friends who are very important to me. Those friendships can be so close that they're sometimes challenging. It's not like it's all just sort of beautiful and delightful. It can be very sort of gritty sometimes. But the challenge is met with equal amounts of support, encouragement and love. So that sort of, it gives it a particularly intense flavour and particular importance, particular value. I have a weekly chapter meeting with other order members, other women order members in Bristol, who aren't necessarily people who are my close friends, but we're meeting on the basis of our practice. We're just communicating on that level, and that does something important. There's something in that opportunity to articulate myself and my practice as well that sort of, yeah, makes something clear to me, draws something out from me. And that happens too in my relationships with the people whose Dharma lives I'm one of the many catalysts for, one of the many supports for. So there are women I'm in relationship with, particularly the women who I'm currently doing Mitra study with, leading a Mitra study group, and some women whose training towards ordination I'm in relationship with. So it's like I'm not doing anything that feels very kind of difficult or special in a way. I'm just being myself in my Dharma life in relationship with someone else leading her Dharma life. And in that, again, something happens between the two of us. It helps me. It really draws out my confidence, my clarity. It helps me to understand something. And in that kind of empathy of the connection, something goes on, and I know it changes the other party in that too. It's sort of, both of us are changed by meeting in that way, and it can be very beautiful, very uplifting, very inspiring. It is like a spark comes to life in both parties. So that happens with my peers and the people who are less experienced in the Dharma. Something's going on between us. And then it's really, really important to me to be in touch with people who teach me, those who have taught me, who've helped me, and particularly those who have witnessed my practice. So that is happening in my chapter meeting with my peers and with my close friends, but it also happens in a particular way with my friends who are more experienced on the path, those who have mentored me, who have helped me, including my preceptor who witnessed my going for refuge at my ordination. There's something very powerful for me in having someone whose perspective and understanding of the Dharma I trust, sort of see that in me, draw that from me, reflect that back to me. Something about being, I was talking to someone the other day whose practice I really trust about my meditation practice, and I could just tell from her response that she got me. She sort of understood what it was I was trying to say that I could barely articulate, and yeah, it's just so affirming. It's like that really feeds my own faith in my practice to have that happen. So it's like we're just, all of us, part of this living network of spiritual influence. I'm on a retreat at the moment where we're focusing on lineage, and they're calling this network of Kalyana Mitrata, this network of mutual responsiveness, of mutual spiritual influence, lineage. They're saying this is our lineage. We are all drawing on something, passing that to others all the time. Something's going on between us, and it's just so alive, so full of spark. And yeah, this has always been super important to me. This has always been like the basis of my Dharma life, to open to this quality of lineage and connection and mutual sparking. And funnily enough, now we're less in contact with each other physically, socially, it's kind of become even more so in an even less tangible or less material, less physical sort of way. Because I've been so affected by Zoom conversations, Zoom retreats, because I've needed to draw on my sense of the love that connects me to my friends when I've been on my own away from them. My faith in that has deepened. It's like I now really, really believe we are connected on a heart-mind level in a way that's not measurable or obvious in a material way. My faith in that being beyond time and space, us being able to draw on all the teachers, all the practitioners of the Dharma throughout time and space. Somehow we're all connected in, resonating with that. It's just become much more real to me in the last year. So that was one of the two main things I wanted to talk about, are sort of our embodied relationships with each other. But there's also the relationship with the archetypal, with the mythic, with the symbols of enlightenment that we're surrounded by. So I was just going to show you one of those that I'm particularly inspired by at the moment, which, if Tim can find the picture of the darkening, he will show us. She's behind me on my shrine as well, but I thought we might get a better view this way. So just have a look, take her in. She's gone. This Darkini, one of her names is Vajrayogini, is the figure I took on to meditate on at my ordination. She's a fully enlightened Buddha. That doesn't look like a lot of the Buddhas that you're used to seeing. And yeah, she's another way I dwell on what's of value, what's beautiful to me. She might look more scary to you. She does at first glance. She is pretty scary. She's pretty awesome. Especially from a distance, especially if you're resisting a bit. But as you come close, you find out she's made of red light, which is love. And it can be, well, her touch, I can assure you, is exquisitely, awesomely beautiful, quite indescribable. She is, for me, she's a picture of the 5 spiritual faculties. She's a picture of all the ways we our minds can respond to, engage with the Dharma. She's a picture of faith. She's red with this aroused heart energy, this sort of inspiration with the Dharma. She's naked with open receptivity, this sort of openness to really feel what's of value, what's beautiful, what's true. She's dancing with inspired bliss, and she is filled with total confidence. Another meaning of Shraddha is confidence, trust. She's got total trust because she's so full of the Dharma, she's so full of truth, so full of love, that she can live from the inside, trusting that, unconcerned with what others think. It's like this just all kind of fills her and flows out of her. She's a picture of energy. She is energy, pure energy. Her body is alive, awake, bright, dancing energy. She's constant movement. She never stops. You can't really see her because she's like a flickering light. She's just so moving. Her hair stands on end because the energy's just shooting up through her. And yeah, her world responds by being brighter, more amazing, more alive. She's surrounded by these flames which are full of energy, burning hot with the virya of transformation. And she's passionately wholehearted. All her energies flow together. She's just complete mindful gatheredness. And she's mindfulness in that sense, that wholehearted mindfulness. And she's naked because she's got this mindful quality of intimacy, of closeness with the texture of heart-mind. Again, there's nothing in the way of experience directly, being totally open, receptive, sensitive, responsive. She's a picture of meditation in that way too. She's that meditative energy body that you can contact somatically. And she springs from the depths. In this picture, it's like she's coming from this deep, dark portal behind her from the blue. Just sort of bursting through with this aliveness, energy and inspiration, the freed energy that you can contact sometimes in meditation. And she is a picture of wisdom. She's a wisdom figure. She comes from this other dimension through this deep, dark portal behind her. And she is totally free to be fully herself completely. She's totally present. She has no clothes to cover her, no clothing of thoughts, no masks of explanations, rationalizations for what's going on, no ideas of right and wrong, no preference for light over dark, for roses over offal. It's just all fuel for the flames. And she's so ungraspable, and that is wisdom too. She's always moving, changing form, totally unpindownable, totally indefinable. You just can't quite say what she is. She always is different. She's trampling, she's standing on a corpse. We can't quite see in this image, because she sort of tramples on the literal mind and all its doubts and all its hopes and fears. And she's holding this knife. She uses this flaying knife to scrape back all the layers of views and projections that keep us small. All the things I might think about what I can't do, or who I am or who I'm not, or how perfect I need to be, or how all the things I project and think other people are thinking about me, or all the worries about what will happen and what people think. She just sort of peels that all back, so you're left with this very vivid, direct, alive, changing experience of life. So yeah, dwelling with her in different ways is important to me. You could take the picture off again, I think. Tim, I think we've got the gist. Sometimes I meditate on her. Sometimes I just gaze at her picture, which at the moment is on my shrine. Often it's at the foot of my bed, and I sit and drink my coffee in the morning and look at her and wonder what she has to say to me today. Sometimes I recognize her touch in whatever practice I'm doing, this alive, direct responsiveness. I keep a shrine. I make offerings to her to open my heart and invite her into my life, invite her to take me over, to take over my life. I notice her touch at the edges of my mind. I notice her when my heart opens to beauty, responds to truth, when I love. To her heart, she holds a skull cup. So it's like a cup that's made from the top of a skull on the side. And that is filled with something mysterious that fascinates me. It looks like blood because it's that much the essence of life. And this is what I want. It's called Amrita, the wisdom nectar of the deathless. It's the full experience of being alive. The Dakini tips her head back and pours it down her throat fearlessly, without picking and choosing. It's like she's pouring the Dharma into herself to continually fill herself more. And we do that in relationship with each other if we open enough. So without choosing what she prefers, she just pours life in, full experience in. And she offers that to us. She offers us the chance to drink of this nectar of deathlessness, of bliss. And what is that? What really is it? This indefinable essence of life. Will I drink it? Dare I? Dare you? It fascinates me, the deathless. What's that? I intuit that there's a portal to the deathless in our living connection, this network of connection we have through the depths of heart, through this beyond space and time network. And the deeper I can sort of delve into my heart to open into that, the more I sense a glimpse of it. And to access that, I need to keep offering up all the ways I limit my experience, all the ways I define myself and my experience, all the kind of ways I reduce and tie down, and keep on offering all of that, all of the ways I tangle myself and get caught in literal mindedness and in doubt again and again. Again and again, I need to offer those up to the Dakini. Offer them into the depth of heart, offer them into the skull cup. And then sometimes there's this touch of deep love, this perfume of the indefinable, this taste of freedom. Will I drink it right down? Like the thread of the sari, it only needs a little sip for it to work its magic. One time the darkening was offering me and I thought, I don't know. And I just put my finger in. I just like dipped it in the nectar just to try. And she laughed. She laughs a lot. She laughs a lot at my silliness and my smallness and said, aha, I've got you now. That little sip's enough to work its magic. That will fill you. It will spread through you. It will change your life. So it's enough. A little sip can change my life and yours. If you dwell on those little resonances, big resonances, those heart movements to truth, beauty, love, whatever's of value to you. As the Buddha proclaimed shortly after his enlightenment, wide open are the portals of the deathless, the doors of the deathless. Let those who hear release their faith. Before we go for tea, we could just sit quietly for 5 minutes. It's just the time to be present with yourself as you are now. Just let yourself be relaxed and alive and open. Nothing to do but be supported by the earth and by each other's presence. You could remember a time where you've been moved or touched, especially by the Dharma, or by somebody acting beautifully, by somebody's presence. Notice how that is in your body, in your heart. Let the memory be as vivid as you can. What was happening, what you were seeing and hearing and feeling. Let that be in your heart now. Relaxing again a little more. If you like, you could invite your heart to show you what matters most to you. Sense afresh where and how that is in you now. Maybe there's an image, a colour, a texture, a sound, a word. Let it be as big as it wants or as small as it wants. How would it be for that quality to fill you? How might it be to live trusting that in you? And to bring that short reflection to a close, you might thank anything that came. Invite it to stay with you.